Chosen ones, this instruction is direct. This is not the time to speak. There are moments when silence protects more than any argument. Words spoken out of season expose processes that are still under construction. In this phase, speaking less is not weakness. It is spiritual alignment and maturity in light of what God is doing. Many feel the urge to explain decisions, respond to provocations, or justify choices, but not every situation requires a response. Not every curiosity deserves access. Silence now functions as a covering. It prevents unnecessary strain, avoids pointless conflicts, and preserves what does not yet need to be revealed. This is not a call to isolation or repression. It is a call to discernment. There are times when acting in silence is more effective than reacting in public. Those who understand this protect their path, stay focused, and avoid delays caused by words spoken in haste or emotion. In the spiritual realm, the tongue carries weight. Words create environments, open doors, and can also close them. That's why there are seasons when the wisest choice is to observe, listen, and remain guarded. Let actions speak. Let the fruit appear at the right time, without announcements and without exposure. My name is George. If you follow this channel, you know that here we speak about spiritual direction with clarity and sobriety. Follow the channel and share this content with someone who needs to learn how to protect their own path. This strengthens the message and reaches other chosen ones who are living through this same season. Chosen ones, there are seasons when the greatest mistake is not acting, but speaking. Not everything that is happening needs to be commented on. Not everything you perceive needs to be shared. There are processes that only remain intact when they are kept in silence. This is one of those moments. You may be surrounded by questions, others curiosity, or even provocations. People want to know your plans, your decisions, your next steps. Some out of genuine interest, others out of control, comparison, or mere intrusion. Discernment now is not about answering well, but about not answering at all. Silence in this phase functions as spiritual covering. It protects what is still being formed. When you speak too soon, you expose structures that are not yet ready to be seen. This brings interference, noise, and often delay. What God is doing does not need early announcements. Many conflicts arise not because they were inevitable, but because information was released at the wrong time. A misplaced phrase, an unnecessary outburst, an explanation offered to someone who didn't need to hear it. Silence avoids this kind of wear. It saves energy, preserves focus, and keeps the path clear. This is not a time to justify choices. Those who constantly need explanations still haven't understood your position. The more you try to explain yourself, the more room you give for questions that lead nowhere. Silence ends discussions before they begin. Spiritually, speaking less is a sign of maturity. It doesn't mean fear, excessive submission, or weakness. It means self-control. There are phases in which self-restraint is worth more than any well-constructed argument. Those who understand this go through sensitive seasons with less damage and more clarity. Guarding your mouth is also a way of filtering who has access to you. Not everyone needs to know what you are living, planning, or deciding. Silence works like a filter. It reveals who respects boundaries and drives away those who feed on other people's information. You don't need to announce growth. Growth is evident. You don't need to explain change. Change is noticed. You don't need to constantly defend yourself. Time resolves many things without you having to intervene. This is a time of observation. Listen more, speak less. Evaluate before reacting. Think before responding. Silence does not paralyze. It organizes. Those who learn to stay silent at the right moment avoid battles they were never called to fight. And that preserves not only peace, but progress. Chosen ones, not every word produces progress. Some words, even if true, cause delay when spoken out of season. The problem is not the content, it's the timing. Knowing when not to speak is one of the highest forms of spiritual discernment. There are seasons when everything is sensitive: relationships, decisions, environments. Any unnecessary exposure creates noise. Any impulsive reaction creates consequences. That's why silence is not passivity. It's a correct reading of the landscape. Many people speak to relieve emotional tension. They vent to feel better in the moment, but later have to deal with the impact of what was said. Silence avoids that cycle. It prevents momentary emotions from dictating permanent decisions. You don't need to react to every provocation, nor respond to every indirect comment, nor correct every misinterpretation. Some things resolve themselves when you don't feed them. In such cases, silence weakens the issue until it loses power. Speaking too much also creates a dependency on validation. When you constantly feel the need to explain, justify, or be understood, you end up giving too much power to others' opinions. Silence breaks that cycle. It brings your focus back inward. This is a time of restraint, not repression, but conscious choice. Choosing who to speak to, what to speak, when to speak, and most of all, when not to speak. This protects decisions that are still maturing. Results don't need defending. When they arrive, they speak for themselves. Before that, explanations only expose incomplete processes. Silence allows things to settle before they're seen. Spiritually, the tongue carries weight. Words create ties, conflicts, expectations, and reactions. Controlling your speech is controlling the environment around you. Those who don't rule their tongue end up dragged into conversations, disputes, and situations that bring no benefit. There are people who ask questions not to understand, but to measure, compare, or anticipate your moves. Silence cuts off that access. It protects what doesn't yet need to be touched. This is a time of internal construction. Adjustments, decisions, realignments. All of it calls for discretion. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. What is solid does not need to be rushed into the spotlight. Learning to be silent now prevents the need to fix things later. It avoids emotional rework, spiritual strain, and unnecessary conflict. Silence in this phase does not slow you down. It accelerates. Chosen ones, there is a clear difference between silence and omission. The silence you are being called to practice now is not cowardice or escape. It is positioning. It is authority exercised without exposure. Those who understand their place don't need to announce everything they know, think, or plan. Speaking too much dilutes authority. People who feel a constant need to explain themselves end up giving too much space to external opinions. Silence, on the contrary, concentrates. It keeps the internal axis steady. Those who speak little observe more, perceive more, and make fewer mistakes. In this phase, silence also protects your spiritual discernment. When you react too quickly, you mix emotion with discernment. When you speak impulsively, you lose precision. Silence creates space for clarity. It slows down reactions and strengthens the response when one is needed. Not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. Truth spoken out of season becomes noise. Information shared out of context becomes a problem. Many conflicts don't arise from lies, but from truths told too soon, or to those who didn't need to hear them. Silence avoids that kind of strain. You may notice that some people insist on making conversation, provoking positions, or extracting information. It's not always innocent curiosity. Often it's an attempt to measure, compare, or get ahead. Silence interrupts that flow. It doesn't confront. It blocks. There is spiritual maturity in not reacting to everything. Not every comment requires correction. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every provocation needs a defense. Silence filters what really matters. It keeps you from being dragged into battles that don't lead to progress. In this season, your strength is not in argument. It is in restraint. The less you speak, the more room God has to act without human interference. When you try to control narratives with words, you end up interfering in processes that don't depend on you. Silence also reveals who respects your boundaries. Those who insist on crossing verbal lines show they don't know how to handle discretion. Those who respect your silence demonstrate maturity. That separation happens naturally when you stop over-explaining. This isn't about shutting down forever. It's about recognizing seasons. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. Now is a time to be silent strategically, to guard information, preserve decisions, and keep processes protected until they are ready. Those who learn this early avoid losses later. Emotional rework, relational wear, delays caused by poorly placed words. Silence, in this case, is energy conservation. You don't need to prove coherence through speeches. Coherence shows itself over time. Those who observe carefully will notice change without you needing to announce it. Those who don't didn't need to know. This is a time of silent authority, of firm presence, of stable posture. Silence does not weaken your position, it consolidates it. Chosen ones, silence doesn't only protect you, it protects processes, relationships, and decisions that are still in formation. Speaking too soon exposes structures that aren't yet ready to withstand external interference. There are decisions that need to mature before being shared. When you speak ahead of time, you open space for doubts, opinions, and pressures that don't help. Silence allows you to finish internally before dealing with the external. Silence also protects your peace. Unnecessary conversations drain energy. Unproductive discussions wear you out. Repeated explanations become exhausting. When you choose to remain silent, you preserve your focus and avoid the noise that distracts you from what really matters. In this phase, many things are adjusting within: thoughts, priorities, directions. Exposing that process while it's still in motion creates confusion. Silence gives stability to what is still being organized. There's also the relational aspect. Not everyone around you knows how to handle change. Some people feel uncomfortable when you change without warning. Others try to pull you back to old versions of yourself. Silence prevents that kind of interference. When you stop explaining, relationships adjust on their own. Those who follow without demanding access remain. Those who need control move away. That filter is natural and healthy. Silence protects your next steps. The fewer people know ahead of time, the less interference you face. That's not distrust, it's prudence. Not everything needs to be shared in real time. Spiritually, silence creates a clean atmosphere. Excess words create noise. Noise disrupts listening. When you speak less, you perceive more. When you are quiet, you discern better. This is a time to observe patterns, others' reactions, repeated behaviors, predictable movements. Silence allows you to read all of this without getting too involved. Speaking less also reduces regret. Many people have to backtrack on words spoken in the heat of the moment. Silence eliminates that need. It prevents errors before they happen. Don't confuse silence with passivity. You are still acting, deciding, and advancing. You're just not narrating every step. That strengthens your position and prevents unnecessary wear. There is a difference between being transparent and being exposed. Transparency has timing and context. Premature exposure leads to vulnerability. Silence balances that. In this season, silence protects your clarity, your energy, and your path. It doesn't slow you down. It keeps you aligned. When the time to speak comes, your words will carry weight. Until then, silence does the work that words could not. Chosen ones, there are seasons when almost nothing changes on the outside, but everything is being adjusted on the inside. This is one of those periods. The silence you are living is not emptiness. It is space. Space for reorganization, for realignment, and for decisions that do not yet need to be announced. When you speak too much while still in process, it creates internal confusion. Your mind tries to sustain versions that are not yet ready. Silence removes that pressure. It allows you to finalize choices internally before dealing with external expectations. This is a time when many answers are still unclear. Forcing explanations now would be inventing certainties that don't yet exist. Silence protects you from committing to words that may not represent what will be definitive. Internally, adjustments are happening. Priorities are shifting. Boundaries are being redefined. Silence allows these changes to consolidate without interference. When everything is exposed too soon, the process loses strength. There's also an emotional aspect. Speaking too much is often an attempt to relieve tension, but temporary relief doesn't always mean progress. Often, speaking only shifts the weight elsewhere without resolving it. Silence forces you to deal with things more deeply. In this phase, silence also protects your energy. Unnecessary conversations, unproductive debates, and repeated explanations drain your strength. Keeping your mouth shut is a way to preserve internal resources for what really matters. You are not being called to withdraw from everything, but to be selective. Not every space deserves your voice. Not every person needs your explanation. Silence teaches that selection naturally. There are processes that only complete themselves when they are not interrupted. Every external opinion introduces noise. Every outside comment creates detours. Silence keeps the process clean until it's mature. This is a period where fewer people need to know what you're doing, not out of fear, but out of prudence. What is still in formation needs stability, not public analysis. Silence also reveals emotional maturity. Those who are maturing don't react to everything. They don't feel the need to justify themselves constantly. They don't live trying to control others' perceptions. You are learning to sustain your own process without depending on external validation. This strengthens your position. Those who learn this move through difficult phases with less wear. Silence is not pulling you away from progress. It's creating the foundation for more solid progress. When this phase passes, you won't have to fix what was spoken too soon. For now, build inwardly. Adjust in silence. Decide calmly. What is true will remain, without needing to be announced. Chosen ones, spiritual maturity is not measured by how much you speak, but by how well you know when to stay silent. Speaking less doesn't diminish your presence. On the contrary, it makes your presence more grounded. Those who speak all the time become diluted. Those who speak at the right time become stronger. In this phase, silence is shaping your posture. It teaches patience. It teaches observation. It teaches self-control. These qualities are not developed in noisy environments. When you remain quiet, you begin to notice things that used to go unnoticed. Patterns repeat. Intentions become clearer. Others' reactions reveal themselves. Silence expands your perception. Speaking less also reduces unnecessary conflict. Many discussions don't arise from real disagreements, but from too many opinions. Silence ends the cycle before it even starts. You don't have to correct everything, or clarify every distortion, or take a stand on everything. Maturity chooses where to invest energy. Silence is one of those choices. Spiritually, This phase trains self-control. Before entrusting greater influence, one must first master the tongue. Those who don't control their speech end up creating problems that could have been avoided. Silence also prepares you to speak with more weight in the future. Rare words carry more impact. Those who speak little are heard more attentively when they choose to speak. This period is refining your discernment. You learn to wait for the right moment. You learn to identify when a word builds and when it only vents tension. Chosen ones, this phase no longer calls for words. It calls for posture. Everything that needed to be understood has already been said. Now, what sustains progress is not speech, it's discipline. The silence you're living is not a lack of direction. It's confirmation that the next step doesn't need to be announced. There are moments when speaking creates more obstacles than solutions. This is one of them. The more you try to explain, justify, or anticipate, the more you interfere with processes that must unfold without interference. Silence here doesn't halt movement. It keeps the path clear. You're not stuck, you're positioned. There is a clear difference between stagnation and containment. Stagnation is the lack of internal movement. Containment is conscious control, while something greater is being organized. What's happening now belongs to the second category. Silence also closes cycles. When you stop speaking, certain dynamics lose power, discussions fade, curiosity is frustrated, external expectations adjust. All of this happens without direct confrontation. Silence does that work alone. In this phase, you don't need to convince anyone of anything, nor explain decisions, nor prove coherence. Those who pay attention will perceive it. Those who don't need to understand right now. Silence naturally separates what should remain from what has already served its purpose. A silent maturity is being built. It doesn't appear in speeches, but in choices. The choice not to react, the choice not to justify, the choice not to feed conversations that don't bring progress. That's not indifference, it's focus. You may feel that fewer people know what's going on with you. That's intentional. Important processes don't require an audience. The less interference, the more stability. Silence protects decisions until they're strong enough to be seen. The next move won't be announced. It will happen. And when it happens, it won't require lengthy explanations. The effects will speak. Results always communicate better than words. Chosen ones. This conclusion is not a call to emotion. It's a call to awareness. Everything said so far points in the same direction. Protection. Not just protection from people, but from exhaustion, impulsiveness, and rushed decisions. The silence you're living is not the absence of movement. It's fine-tuning. You don't need to leave this message with something new to do. You need to leave with something clear not to do. Don't react. Don't explain yourself. Don't expose yourself beyond what's necessary. Don't turn internal processes into external speeches. That alone is already progress. There's a common anxiety about wanting to end cycles by speaking, explaining changes, justifying distance. But not every closure needs words. Some resolve with posture, others with consistency. Silence closes more cycles than long confrontations. You owe nothing to those who demand unrestricted access to your life. You owe no explanations to those who don't walk with you. You owe no clarity to those who confuse curiosity with entitlement. Silence redefines boundaries without needing to announce them. This period calls for sobriety, less reaction, more observation, less speech, more coherence, less exposure, more stability. That's not withdrawal. It's maturity. When you speak less, you start to perceive more. People reveal intentions. Situations show themselves as they truly are. Silence removes the noise and leaves only what's essential. That guides future decisions with far more precision. Don't worry about being misunderstood right now. Misinterpretations are corrected with time, not with immediate explanations. The more you try to manage how others see you, the more you lose your own center. Silence preserves that center. What's being built in you doesn't depend on external approval. It depends on internal firmness. That firmness grows when you learn to sustain processes without needing to narrate them. You don't need to announce growth. Growth is perceived. You don't need to justify change. Change is felt. You don't need to defend decisions. Right decisions stand on their own. This conclusion doesn't ask for applause or blind agreement. It only asks for lucidity. If something here disturbed you, observe it. If something here made sense, apply it. The value isn't in the speech, it's in the silent application. Now, if you follow this channel, use the comments with purpose. Write something simple, a short sentence, a word, a sign that you are attentive and committed to this phase, not to expose yourself, but to mark your position. The comments are not a stage. They're a meeting point. They show that others are going through the same process, with the same need for maturity and discernment. Comment if you understand this is a time to speak less. Comment if you are choosing to protect your path. Comment if you recognize that silence, right now, is part of your progress. You don't need to explain your story. You don't need to justify yourself. Just mark your presence. This channel does not exist to feed spiritual noise. It exists to reinforce posture, clarity, and maturity. And that is only built with daily practice, not with pretty phrases. Stay alert, stay firm, and move discreetly. The next step doesn't need to be announced. It will come at the right time. Until then, silence remains part of the path.